Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Game over. Bear with us, people, because we are streaming on two different channels at the same time. So timing this has been a technical nightmare. But welcome in, everyone. Welcome into a new season of Game Over Toronto and Montreal. My name is Zach Payne. I am your host for Game Over Toronto this evening. I'm joined by Kay from Game Over Montreal, who is here to complain about everything that happened tonight. Kay, how we doing? You know what? As it should be. As it should be, although the Jays are in a little bit of trouble. They're up 5-1 in the bottom of the eighth, and the Yankees have bases loaded with a chance to tie it. So we're going to be monitoring that throughout the stream as well. But yeah, welcome in, everyone. Shout out to Mark Daigle in the Game Over Toronto chat. First comment of the year. Nothing feels better than beating the toilet seats for the start of another glorious season. And I will say, for as much as I was like, yeah, cool, we beat the Habs. That game was the most run-of-the-mill Craig Berube hockey I have ever seen in the last year and a half of watching this Leafs team. And it was not enjoyable for a lot of it, I'll be honest, because the Leafs don't really play an enjoyable style of hockey, whereas the Habs play a lot more fast, a lot more fun. So they had stretches where they controlled the play. The Leafs had their stretches where they're bigger bodied forecheck got underway and they were able to control play. Both teams had their moments. Obviously, the Habs control more of the advanced stats in this one, but the Leafs control the scoreboard, which is all that we really care about in this day and age. So to start off with, we are going to get underway with a game recap. In the second period, we will get into some Montreal-related conversations. In the third period, we'll get back to Toronto before a Q&A. But of course, everyone is welcome throughout the stream to chime in the chat. That's all what we're here for. That's why we do this live, is so all of you can get your opinions down. So before we get into the game recap, Kay, before puck drop, how are we feeling? How confident are we going into this game? And what are the emotions? Oh, lovely.
Oh, am I okay? I hope everybody can hear me now. Oh,
What?
I just turned. Okay, there we go. Something go wrong?
Bear with us, people. Technical difficulties.
Uh-oh. So it looks fine on my. Perfect. Perfect. Okay.
Are we good?
Yes. Can we hear me?
Hear us now?
Let me just make sure.
Hear you. Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Can the Montreal chat hear me?
I'm getting no response, so I'm going to assume that's good news. Okay, we're good news. We're good.
Okay, so, yeah. That's great news. All right, sorry about that, folks. So yeah, before the game, Kay, how did we feel going into this one?
Strangely anxious, I think. Not just about the game specifically, but I think there's a lot of feelings about this season. And it's weird. My heart was pounding the way it was for the Capitals, the Capitals games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay, to be fair, I think that's also anxiety. I think that's also called anxiety, but also second, I think it's just, I'm really excited. And I was nervous because I knew if there'd be a loss, people would be really weird about it, as they tend to be, but shockingly normal. Habs Twitter is being shockingly normal. So I'm happy to report that for everybody.
Yeah, and it's the contrast after the Leafs lost 1-0 to the Habs in the season opener last year. Leafs Twitter was immediately like, this team sucks, this was the wrong hire, Berube stinks, the magic is gone, whatever. Yeah. Now, Leafs fans, we are irrationally apathetic towards the regular season because the Leafs have the longest streak in the NHL of making the playoffs. So we have grown accustomed to just not caring about the regular season. However, we still melt down when we lose. It just means we don't get excited when we win or when good things happen.
I love that.
It's a very strange feeling to have where everything is negative, nothing is positive until you get to the playoffs, and then maybe some things can happen. But going into this one, all the eyes were on, oh, how are the Leafs going to look post Mitch Marner? But I was going into this like, all right, there's a hockey game on tonight. Like the hockey season snuck up on me so fast that it kind of caught me off guard. But the Leafs were ready to go in the first minute of this one. Three chances, one of them
My
going into
God.
the back of the net. A no-look pass from Matthias Michelli to Jake McCabe 10 seconds in or whatever to set up a good chance. Morgan Riley, who was everywhere tonight, had a great chance. And then off the face-off, William Nylander takes a shot, and Bobby McMahon deflects it in from the slot. And right away, the Leafs are up 1-0,
Mm-hmm.
and things were looking great for me.
Yep.
Probably not so much for you.
Nope.
So, but after that, the Habs kind of started tilting the ice and took over the next several moments of the game. What did you see from the way the Habs were able to bounce back after that early goal against?
So I like to joke that the Habs are just a team full of toddlers. They are the youngest team in the league right now, including the baby sharks. So that's a whole thing to think about. But I was just joking that they're toddlers and they hadn't woken up from their naps properly. Now, that been the issue last season too, but what would happen is they would wake up for third periods and nothing more. So honestly, the fact that they were able to wake up, I would say maybe halfway through the first, I was pretty happy with them. Um, I I liked the fight back. I liked that they were in another team's building and did not give up. Um, and I like that I thought the entire team was equally involved. Some of them were more effective than others, but I feel like everybody was engaged. And I think that's a really good sign to start the season because if you don't have everybody engaged, like right at the start, what are we doing here? So I was I was upset about the way it started, but relatively happy about the way it proceeded until the very end. So,
Yeah, of course. Now, a few minutes go by in the first period. The Habs are starting to, get their legs under them, and the Leafs end up going to the power play on was I believe that was the line A hooking in the offensive zone where it just gets into the hands of Chris Tanev, bit of a sloppy early season penalty that you see,
mhm.
but then the Leafs being as sloppy as they were in the first period, multiple turnovers on the power play, multiple turnovers at 5-on-5 as well. They were just a mess in the neutral zone. And Oliver Kapanen, shorthanded, gets
Let's
his
go,
first career goal,
baby.
right? First
Yeah,
career goal,
first
was it?
career goal.
Sniping it blocker side on Anthony Stolarz to tie things up at 1. Now, as someone who admittedly does not know a lot about Oliver Kapanen, what did that goal like? What does it mean for a guy like that to get a milestone goal early on to start the year?
It's everything, man. That spot was so up for debate throughout camp. That was the one spot that everybody was like, well, is it going to be Florian Jacki? Is it going to be Kapanen? Will it be Winston's Roar, Owen Beck? I promise I can say his name, guys. But all of those things, at the end of the day, he won that spot. One of the reasons why he won it is because he and Demidov had a lot of chemistry. So it's actually funny that his first goal wasn't even scored with Demidov on the ice. It was like literally a shorthanded goal. But I think it's important for him to dig his teeth in and not let go. Um, and that was good to see a guy taking advantage of the opportunity. I thought that the PK in general started really well. Josh Anderson did the thing that Josh Anderson does, where he took the puck to the net and then just forgot to do anything with it. But that's fine. I think in a PK you can have that. Like as long as the puck's like not near your own net. I think that's why Josh Anderson is a really effective PKer. But I think for Kapanen, it was really important to get his. I also feel like there's something about getting your first out of the way, especially for these guys who are supposed to be um, next to other guys who are already have high expectations on them. So on that line, it's Demidov who everybody's expecting to make stuff happen. And for Kapanen to get that out of the way, I think it's just good for him. It's just nice to see the PK doing PK things. Um, that's a point of concern for us this year or going into the year. So, yeah, overall, just good to see a guy taking advantage of that opportunity that was given to him. you know?
Yeah, and the Leafs power play incredibly anemic in this game, mostly because they had no idea how to enter the zone, which is a problem that they've had for years. I know people are going to overreact to that on Leafs Twitter, but it's a problem the Leafs have had for years. The same formulaic drop back, pass to the half wall. It's too easy to read, and the Habs took advantage there. And the rest of the first period, the Habs definitely seemed to have a control of the game where they were generating good chances. The Leafs decided that they were above playing defense and just allowed the Habs to get endless slot shots with little or no like contest in the defensive zone. It was incredibly out of character for this group. And you would think for a team that carried over not just their top 6, but top 7 defenders from the post-trade deadline last season, the exact same group you end the season with. You would think for chemistry purposes that'd be a good thing. Instead, the Leafs could not complete a pass to save their lives. Jake McCabe had a horrible night with the puck on his stick, and the Habs kept taking advantage. And I didn't even feel like the Habs were playing great. It just felt like the Leafs kept giving them the puck, and not like the Habs were doing a great job of taking what the Leafs were giving them, and the Leafs were just giving them way too much.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, just really quickly want to say hi to the chat. Our chat is popping off today. I just want to say a quick hi and thank you so much for stopping by. If I'm looking down, I'm looking at the chat, guys. And MFM, I know you can't stay for long, but hello. It's so nice to see our regulars and also see some new faces. Okay, to kind of go back to that. Um, what was the question? Sorry.
Just how how you felt about the way the Habs were just kind of taking what the Leafs were giving them. Like, did you feel like the Habs were doing a great job of actually outplaying the Leafs, or just being the less sloppy team?
I'm gonna give them some credit and I'm gonna say they were playing well. However, when when the game evened up, it was less that they stopped playing as well, is that the Leafs started playing better. So it's kind of, I know I'm like talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but like I do kind of like it's a little bit of give and take. My point being, I really liked what I saw out of the Leafs. Oh, sorry, out of the Habs. Did not like what I saw out of the Leafs
Hey.
because they suck. Because they suck and I hate them. And I hate them so much. Um, but I liked what I saw out of the Habs. I think if the team plays like this, it's a good start for the team. Um, but like you said, they really did take advantage of what the Leafs were giving them. One thing that will show up in my notes over and over and over again from last season was killer instinct. That is something that this team was learning how to use. It's a young team with, and maybe the older guys were, guys who weren't necessarily meant for the long term in this team. So it was hard sometimes. You'd watch them like let go of games that they deserved or not, we're on top of. Like sometimes you had just have a game and you're like, just keep it. So I was happy to see them take advantage of that. But I do, let's just say I think winning is being better than the other team, and I think they were better than the other team, is all I'm gonna say in that moment. I know at the end of the day, the Leafs won, but like that's kind of how I feel about the way they were playing at that moment.
And look, I get that Habs fans are going to look at this game and be like, wow, look at all the advanced analytics that we controlled in this one. Folks, I got bad news. That is Leafs hockey. The Leafs are the most anti-advanced analytics team in the league right now. They will have 20% expected goals, 20% shot attempts, and they'll still win because voodoo magic, and it's the regular season, so they just find ways.
Greg Berube,
And
baby.
Craig Berube hockey. We block shots. We protect the middle of the ice. Well, we're supposed to protect the middle of the ice. And we rely on the high-end talent to capitalize on their chances at the other end. So the first period ends with 1 second to go. Morgan Rielly almost has a very nice goal. Unfortunately doesn't. But we go to the second period where immediately the Habs take a lead on another first. Zachary Bolduc getting his first with the Habs on a nice little rebound chance there. And the Leafs, this was a trend last year. Leafs fans, you guys are going to know. The Leafs, for a 5 to 10 minute stretch every single game, forget that they're playing a hockey game. And they just I made the joke that they take a nap at the first intermission and they don't wake up in time for the start of the second, because it was such a routine thing where, and
Mhm.
every single game, Craig Berube would come out and be like, oh, we really weathered the storm. To why is there a storm in every single game? That is not how normal hockey teams behave. Normal hockey teams are able to keep effort up for 60 minutes, but this is for as old as the Leafs are, borderline like childish behavior from them every single game. So the Habs able to take advantage there. Another first, Kirby Dach and Brendan Gallagher on the assist there. But then a few minutes later, another rebound goal, this time for the Leafs. Morgan Rielly again jumping up in the play, creating
He had a
chaos in the
game.
Habs end. And then he throws one on from the point after the play cycles back to him. And Calle Jarnkrok, you talked about how Oliver Kapanen's spot was kind of up for grabs. Calle Jarnkrok gets a goal. He was probably third on the list to make the team as the fourth line right winger.
Yeah.
But an injury to Scott Lawton and Easton Cowan being scratched, which that's a whole other can of worms. Why is he being scratched and he's not with the Marlies? Anyways, Calle Jarnkrok gets into the lineup. I thought he had a really nice game, had a great chance later as well. He gets on the board, and suddenly we're tied up at 2 going into the second intermission. And like at that point, I assume you were feeling pretty good about the way the game was going.
No, because I'm used to expecting the worst. But what
You
I
should
was
be a Leafs fan.
don't ever say that to me ever again, please, ever. But I was feeling like, hey, this is promising. I do have to say, I I do have to say I like what the Habs were doing. I really do. I think we're gonna get to the third period, but I think the Habs' problem today was finishing. Excuse me. I think the first line altogether had something like 9 shots, and 6 of them was Slavkovsky. So I I think the issue was finishing there. And I think I was getting nervous about that because when the first line is cooking, but they're not quite got that last little bit done, I get nervous about what the rest of the team will do. Because it's just nature. Like I think every team kind of doesn't live and die by their first line, but the first line sets the tone, right? Like that's just how it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
So if your first
Well,
line's
they're supposed to.
they're supposed to. Yeah. So if your first line is just, and again, I'd like to clarify, they were playing great. I love the way the first line was playing. I
They
just thought
solidly outplayed the Matthews line. Like
I
there's no ifs, ands, or like the Suzuki line were caving. Not like they weren't getting the best chances in the world, but they were absolutely outplaying the Matthews line all night.
yeah, so let me just be very clear about that, that I'm happy with the way the first line was playing. I think there's just the finishing, um, which is fine. I'm fine with it. Like I know that seems so dismissive, but like I'll take what I can get right now. So that was my little concern going in. I was like, I don't. Again, this team is. I can't say they're an immature team because I haven't seen them play that much yet. But you would think, seeing what they have, seeing what they're made out of right now, it would make sense for them to be a little bit of an immature team. And I was worried about things that the closing out wouldn't be as easy. And I think that's exactly what happened. So I know you're getting to the third period, so we'll talk about how that closed out.
Yeah, so in the third period, we're just going to jump ahead to the game-winning goal because it starts on the Habs were actually the ones in the offensive zone where Lane Hudson gets a chance and he makes a fabulous. He did the exact same thing in the preseason last week where he walks in, does the little fake shot, and then fires it low blocker. Stolarz just gets a piece of it. No, Stolarz. He had a fairly solid night. I didn't love the rebound control in this one, but I can't argue with the fact that he was doing a great job when he was squared up to a shooter of just getting a piece of his body on the puck. And that's all you can really ask for from a goaltender.
He's stupid big.
So he makes a nice.
He's stupid big. He better get his
6'7" every time he steps on the
better
ice.
get his body on that puck. If he's not, I don't know what he's doing with that. He's stupid big.
It's the
Is all
sumo
I'll
goalie
say.
mentality. And ridiculously athletic for being that big as well. So he gets a piece of it, puck rolls around, and then in transition, Lane Hudson loses his stick or breaks his stick. I don't actually know exactly what happened, but Lane Hudson does not have a stick anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Matthew Nyes, as a result, gets a breakaway. No, Hudson, I will give him credit, did a great job of getting hands on Matthew Nyes, like tugging a little bit, but you don't have a stick, so if you take
That's a penalty
who
you
cares?
take. Yeah.
It doesn't matter because the breakaway is stopped by Montembeault. But Nyes at the side of the net, he sticks with it, gets it in the slot to Morgan Rielly. Cole Caulfield does a drive-by at Morgan Rielly and kind of just leaves him alone in the slot. And Rielly buries it to give the Leafs the lead. And honestly, the rest of the way, like I know Nick Robertson had a nice chance that was stopped later on. That's when the game kind of just shut down. And that's when the Leafs were like, okay, we've had enough of this nonsense. We are not going to allow another high quality, we're going to shut down the high quality champs the rest of the way. Austin Matthews, despite having a pretty bad game, gets the empty netter on a hustle play. And Nylander gets another one because we love stat padding at the end of the day to get us to our final score of 5-2. And yeah, like I joke that this is the most Craig Berube game ever. The Habs, I think, did outplay the Leafs for stretches of this game, and their skating and their speed really gave the Leafs problems. Stolarz was good when he had to be. The Leafs cleaned up their act, and Morgan Rielly was fantastic in the offensive zone all night. He was the Leafs' best player by far, and at the end of the day, the Leafs just capitalized on their chances better than the Habs did.
Yeah, to go back to that goal, both Matheson and Hudson had broken sticks on that play, actually. So there were approximately 0 defensemen able to cover that.
Is that a good spot to be in? Just to I feel like that's
is that good?
A problem.
Is that good? I don't know. Consulting the chat, is it good when both defensemen don't have their sticks? So I think that's kind of what happened there. I was also glad that Hudson stayed on Nyes. That's a penalty you take any day. It's fine. You do what you have to. I think what happened afterwards, and it's in the nature of fans to not give the other team credit, so I'm going to be a complete asshole about this and not give the Leafs any credit, is I think the Habs just kind of, I think there was a little bit of scrambliness that happened, and then I think a little bit of bad luck. I think they had chances. They weren't able to capitalize on them. Like I said, it's hard for me to be mad about this game, even about that play, because it's hard to be mad about a goal that's scored against you when 2 of the guys on ice don't have their sticks, right?
Yeah, like who do you get mad at in that situation?
Yeah. Also, hello, by the way, like the stream and be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm seeing people pop in and out, so just a quick reminder. We love having you here.
Also, everyone needs to hit like and subscribe for a Blue Jays victory. The Blue Jays are moving on in the MLB playoffs. So I know you guys don't like the Leafs over there in Montreal, but we only have one Canadian baseball team. So hit like and subscribe for a Blue Jays victory.
Yeah, I'll take it. Also, when it comes to non-hockey stuff, I'll take a Canadian. I'll take a Canadian over not.
Yeah, exactly. So, aside from that, that is our game recap. So I think we can go ahead and turn this over to the second period. And in the second period, I apologize, Leafs fans. We are going to talk a little bit more Habs because that's the nature of these crossover shows. We have to spend time talking about both teams. So the Leafs win. We're happy. Morgan Rielly, unbelievable. Other people, Austin Matthews was maybe not great, but we'll talk about that later. So moving on to the second period, of course, everyone hit like, hit subscribe for a new season of Game Over. So coming into the season, I know that we haven't done a ton of season preview content for Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big storylines of the offseason was the acquisition of Noah Dobson. And you are going to hate me because for everyone watching, right before we got on stream, Kay is like, I have a lot of strong opinions on Noah Dobson that I don't know if I'm ready to share yet. But unfortunately, you're on the spot now. So Noah Dobson, how did he look at his first game as a Hab?
I'm never telling you anything ever again. Okay, with the disclaimer being that this is me being an absolute
Game
bitch.
One overreactions.
Game One overreaction.
Whoa,
and there were some, listen, All I'm gonna say is near the end, that first empty netter, why was Patrick Laine skating harder than Noah Dobson? That should not happen. That is not a position
Why
you
is
want to be.
Patrick Laine skating harder than anyone? That is that should not be. That's not a situation you want to be in.
I know we also on the chat or on our call as we're revealing our secrets. I know you said you were a little bit like on Patrick Laine. I thought comparatively he was good. Um I know that's not the biggest compliment, but I wasn't mad at him. He wasn't the thing that was pissing me off the most. Again, I am a Patty Laine defender, so everybody's probably tired of
Well,
me
he's on the
defending
fourth
him.
line, isn't he?
Third line, I think I don't know how they're playing it. Marty seems to be very
Scoring line.
weird about his second to third line. I don't quite
Well, that's
understand.
what the Leafs do with their bottom six. They have their shutdown line and then their shelter. Like Max Domi and Nick Robertson are the scoring line, and then they have the shutdown line below that. So it just depends on situation.
It's funny because Jake Evans is one of the shutdown guys, and he is playing next to Patrick Laine, so I don't understand what's happening there.
Well,
Yeah, listen, whatever it is about the game, I want to answer Romelli here. They're saying that Dobson had a great game. I think
you seem to
actually,
disagree.
no. I think Matheson and Dobson as a pairing had a very good game. I was very concerned about that pairing going in because it's Matheson and Dobson. But I thought they had a great game. It's just I don't know, maybe he's at the end of his shift, and this is a very uncle, like hockey uncle thing of me to say. I just don't think it looks good. I don't think it looks good for you to be the last one at the empty netter when there's still time. And I know, again, this is such hockey uncle shit for me to be on. It just, whatever, right? Like, this is just something that I think the reason why I'm overreacting a little bit is because even in the preseason, I was a little bit I wasn't mad at what I saw, but you'd like to see a little bit more. But that's considering the fact that like he did get hurt in the way that guys get hurt in the preseason, which is they get groin injuries and then they're out for like 2 preseason games, right? Like he was hurt in that way. So again, I'm not like making any sort of sweeping judgments on Noah Dobson at all. Because
You should.
no. Also, I can't. Also, I can't. He's here for 8 years, so I can't.
Please explain why you hate Noah Dobson and why he sucks after one game.
On clipping out of context, I actually do hate Noah Dobson. No, I'm excited to see what it looks like. I think maybe I need to like I was just so worried about this pairing going in. I'll be so honest with you. Matheson and Dobson was such a terrifying pairing in general that I think I was ready to expect the worst. Again, I'm ready. I'm excited to see what things look like. I was happy with the Gooley and Hudson pairing. I really was. I know people are gonna give shit to Hudson for some moves or whatever. Like there were so he lost the puck on the power play at the end of being on the power play for an hour, no, a minute and a half. Like
Might as well have been.
it happens, right? Um
Well, and like Hudson's just a high risk, high reward player. Like, yes, he's going to make mistakes. When you have this puck on your stick more, you're gonna make those kind of mistakes. Like I could say the same thing about William Nylander, where yeah, like he actually had a giveaway that led to a goal against on the power play. Like that was the first goal that the Habs scored was a Nylander giveaway. But he also makes good plays though. Like it's the gift and the curse with these players that are very puck dominant and possession dominant.
See, I feel like that's also why you have a guy like Caden Gooley playing next to him. Like that's what he's there for. I saw
Babysit.
some discussion in the chat that maybe he was a little bit slow on his decision making. What, you've never made a mistake in your life? Okay, fine. Like fine, that's fine. You've never made a mistake? Fine, leave him alone. No, I actually thought he was relatively good. You'd again like to see a little bit more, but it's the same way that you'd like to see more out of Dobson, in which I guess the reason why I'm fine with Gooley's maybe one or two bad decisions was that we know what we have in Caden Gooley. I think again, I'm seeing some people give me some stuff but I promise you guys, I'm not down on Dobson. I am not down on Dobson. I am still very excited for him. Um, I can't believe you put me on the spot. I'm so mad at you right now. I can't believe I'm being forced to defend my opinions. I can't believe this.
Well, shouldn't you know by now that sharing your opinions on the internet is not a good idea? But okay, maybe getting into something that's a little bit more lighthearted that maybe your chat will agree with you on. Overarching like theme, because again, it's game one of the season. We have to set expectations clearly. Where do you expect this Habs team to finish when it's all at the end of the regular season? Like where do you expect them to see, and like what's your best case scenario?
Best case scenario, I think they make it to wild card 1 spot. Uh,
Oh,
and where I'd like them to be, wild card 2. So I'm not the expectations are very close together. I listen, ideally they're a playoff team. I think they have all the pieces. Um, I think well, when I say all the pieces, I think Kirby Doc is in a very good position to position himself as a 2C. Let's put it that way, right? Like
here's an opportunity.
he has an opportunity. He has the position. He has dibs on that. So until
It's his
Sidney
to lose. Yeah.
Crosby, yeah, until Sidney Crosby's ready to come to the Habs, 2C is Kirby
Yeah.
Duck.
Right.
So yeah,
I think you have a better chance of getting Crosby to go to your other team, but
hey, listen, I listen. Sidney Crosby is going to be a Montreal Canadien, one way or another. That's my big bet.
all right.
Yeah,
I want to shout out Bernardo in your chat for saying I can't believe Kay hates Dobson and his entire family.
correct.
And you're a professional hater. You gotta own up to it.
Well, that's
I
right.
will say, I will say Matthew and the Leafs in the Toronto chat makes a good point. Is the Habs defense, like this is a Nick Robertson comment, but didn't make Robertson look small. And that is something that, like, throughout the game, I didn't feel like the Habs defense was nearly as physical as some of, like, you might see from other teams around it. Like, they're a little bit more of the speed, skill kind of unit, as opposed, like, do you worry about, like, their ability to defend a forecheck at all?
Not at all. Uh, I have zero concern about that. Um, again, you have a guy like Hudson, everybody points to him. Other than that, the the defensive core is pretty big. Uh, I know obviously a team can be or a group of guys can be big and not play big, but I don't
Yes,
think
sorry, that's what I mean. Because I've watched plenty of big defensemen that play very small. Like Morgan Riley was like 215 last year, and he's like 6'1". He does not play like a big defenseman.
yeah, yeah. So it's like first of all, I'm just getting mad at a guy who like made a comment like months ago that I'm remembering. This is a very me thing to happen where you asked me a question and I thought about another guy who said something and got mad about it. But I don't think that's necessarily the concern. Um, I can agree that I don't think they had their most physical game, but I don't think they had to. I don't think the Leafs were going to the net. I don't think they were making it hard on the Habs at all. I think if it comes down to it, you do have guys willing to fight for that space. Arbor Jack guy himself is obviously, but he's a third pairing guy. Fine. If Caden Gooley doing that, Mike Matheson shockingly likes to get physical. Noah Dobson would love to see him use his size a little bit. I don't know if he uses it regularly. Haven't watched a lot of him. Lane Hudson will never be a bruiser, but hey, we can dream, I guess. If we want to watch some preseason games, apparently he did want to get into a fight, so we'll take what we can get.
Let's get the puck on his stick. That's fine.
Truly, truly. So I don't really have any concerns about that. I think I didn't really see a need for them to get into it this game.
Yeah, and so aside from that, if we're looking big picture for the Habs, do you have any hot takes for the season?
Any hot takes? Statistically, the first line will end up being one of the okay, that's a subjective. Top 10 line in the league. I will say it right now.
Based on like just on like
Possession
advanced
numbers.
rates or just on vibes?
No,
Possession
possession numbers.
numbers?
Possession numbers, I think. I think what you saw out of them in the second half of last season, they were elite. I'll say it. They were elite. And when you've got, I think the secret sauce there is Slavkovsky. I think when you've got him doing the things that he can do and playing at his best, that line is extremely successful. So that's my hot take. Is I think by the end of the season, people will understand what that line can do. That's my hot take.
There you go. So aside from that, I think we'll flip it over to the third period now, where we're going to get into more Leafs content. So Montreal fans, bear with us. Leafs fans, now I'm talking to you guys. How did we feel about that game? I know that my chat's been saying some things that I'll read over, but welcome in, Matthew. Good to see you again. Luke, good to see you again. Mark Daigle, great to see you guys again. Great to see you guys back in the chat again. So for the Leafs, I will say, like in this game specifically, it was really a case of like the haves and the have-nots for a lot of it. Like I said, the top line didn't love what Matthews was doing for the most part. Again, he gets the empty net goal. He was good, perfectly fine defensively, but didn't like when he crossed center ice. It seemed like he was a little too invisible. Matthew Nyes picked it up as the game was going on, but Machelli was the best person on that line for the majority of that game, which is interesting. The second line, Nylander, Tavares, man, I love them offensively. Man, I hate them defensively. That it's just the nature of it. Max Domi, same thing. He's on for a goal against, but that Robertson almost gets a goal to clinch it at the end. I don't know. That line obviously not going to stay together. The plan was for Domi to be on the Matthews line to start the year until the Lutton injury last week. So is what it is. But the star of the show, Morgan Rielly, absolutely unbelievable in this game, especially considering just how bad he was last year. And someone made the point earlier, I believe it was, Mark is saying, look for Mo to find his mojo again after getting through his first year being married. Lots of changes are now just normal for him now. And don't forget, he also had a kid last year.
That's
and
a big
having
one.
a newborn is not a good recipe to be at your best physical, like your peak physical condition.
That's a
You're
concern for the
exhausted all the
Habs.
time.
That's a concern this year, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Who's a new dad over there?
Anderson, Gallagher, Evans, dad to twins actually. So there's some
He's gonna get crushed.
Yeah, our bottom six is gonna be a little sleep deprived.
By the way, Josh Anderson, noted Leaf killer. Aside from the penalty kill rush, I didn't notice him a whole lot, and I will that is a massive win for coming out of this one. But yeah, Morgan Rielly, he's been a dad for a little while now, so he's not going to be quite as underwater outside of, away from the rink, which will allow him. And there was a big offseason talk about how the Leafs were asking more of him. There's a lot of organizational pressure on Morgan Rielly, and people always talk about the pressure of playing in Toronto, but internally there hasn't been enough of that. Internally, it's been way too much like, it's okay, guys, you're doing your best. Whereas now the heat's being turned up on Rielly specifically and they really challenged him to have a good year. He had a very good start. And the big thing is obviously being engaged offensively. Last year, he struggled to adjust to Berube's system. He ended up playing a little too safe, trying to make sure he didn't overextend himself defensively. He wound up doing that anyways, because that's just part of his game. But the offense was lacking. This year, goal and an assist to start this season. Would love if he could get back to being a consistent 50-point defender. We're not asking for the moon here, but you're on the top power play unit. You've got to be able to impact the game offensively. If he can get double-digit goals, 55-ish points, I will be a happy camper. Matthew saying Matthews looked like a third liner in this game. Well,
there were some moments where I was like, this is actually the thing. I was, because of Matthews' killer record on the on first games of the season, I was just waiting. And somebody, I tweeted about it, posted about it on Blue Sky, and somebody said, well, he looks bad. I'm more worried about Nylander. And I was like, with a player like Matthews, all you need is one good shift. That is all you need sometimes with that kind of talent. So I'm glad that he got a fake good shift rather than a real one.
Well, the best shift the top line had, like the game-winning goal, had nothing to do with Matthews. It was just like a couple of broken sticks, and suddenly
Yeah.
Nyes is the one making plays, and Riley jumping up. Like Matthews' offensive impact was very minimal in this one. So if for Habs fans, you want more things to be happy about, that Suzuki line did wonders against that guy.
I was very happy with that line. Yeah, again, very happy with that line.
Yeah. OKO Digital, welcome back. Good to see you again. Wasn't able to catch much of the game due to work, but happy to catch the game over stream. Good start to the season. Go Leafs, go. Good to have you here, man. Now, goaltending is obviously a big thing for the Leafs. That's the way that the Leafs are structured, is to be kind of good offensively, kind of good defensively, and have great goaltending. Stolars and Joseph Woll were so Stolars was fourth in the league last year in goals saved above expected, and he was like 20-30 games behind the other goalies on that list. He has been, when he's healthy, statistically one of the best in the business. Again, I didn't love the rebound goal that he allowed, the second one, but we know he struggles with rebound control, so I'm not too worried about it. The Leafs are predicated on having great goaltending. They got it tonight. It's a very weird thing to have, because the defense is set up to limit the high danger chances, and they did an okay job of that in this one. We're obviously looking to improve there. But if the Leafs limit the high danger chances, let Stolars save the medium danger ones, the Leafs are going to win a lot of games again. Like, I know people are going to be like, oh, the regression without Marner is going to be crazy. It'll be a little bit.
I mean, I'm sending the bad vibes. I'll tell you that. I'm sending them bad vibes. I don't think it's going to work, though.
I mean, the thing with the Leafs is, like, they play such a weird style. Like, the Leafs are going to win so many ugly games this year, just like they did last year. There's going to be a lot of games where they get outshot 40-26 and still find a way to win because they have great goaltending. Like, that's that's kind of how it works. Like, go ask the Winnipeg Jets how having Hellbuck last year helped them in the regular season. Like, also, Matthew makes a good point. Curtis Sanford is a great goalie coach. I want to see Primo with him. I don't want to see Primo, period.
I don't think you want to see Primo, guys. I'll be real with you.
I'm A-okay if we never see... We're going to have to next week when there's a back-to-back. But Toronto needs to take it personal when anyone touches their goalie. It's overdue. Yeah, that is the thing. Like, there was one little scrap, sort of, in this game when OEL and Slavkovsky sort of got into it.
They were just kind of
mad
at each other.
There wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see more attitude from the Leafs. Like, that's another big thing. It's just, like, you're bigger. Push them around a little bit. Don't be afraid to go to the net. Dakota Joshua was a guy that I was super disappointed with, because that dude is massive, and I didn't notice him at all. Like, that's a guy that needs to be going to the net every shift. And, you know, Nick Waugh had a nice game. He was using his size effectively on the forecheck, but
hate that guy.
I want to see more. I want to see more from the forecheck and more action in and around the net from some of these Leafs bigger bodies.
Yeah. Sorry, the reason why I said that is he was a Knight. And again, for those who don't know, I'm a big Avs fan. So I saw a lot of that guy. I saw him today, and I've seen him over the years. So that's why I hate that guy. But yeah, he's very effective. I will say that. Quebec players from Quebec love killing the Habs. So whatever.
Speaking of which, I put out this tweet or post on Blue Sky throughout the game. Simone Benoit almost had a deflection goal on a slap shot pass from the point. If Simone Benoit did that to you, fold the franchise. That would have been like that. Whew.
Likely thing to happen. Likely thing to happen to the Habs, I'll tell you.
I mean, hey, Simone Benoit got a playoff overtime winner last year to put the Leafs up 3-0 on Ottawa. So anything's possible with that guy. He is just an agent of chaos. No idea what's going to happen whenever he steps on the ice, but it's usually chaotic. Aside from that, I think we are good to go ahead and turn this over to our Q&A segment, our fourth and final period here. So this is the point of the show where we invite your questions. We have two different chats, so I better see twice as many questions from you guys. I know the Montreal chat's been popping off. In the Toronto chat, feel free to ask your questions as well. And because it's game 1 of the season, questions about the rest of the season, short term, long term, it doesn't matter. Just anything that you got for us as we get into this final segment. And of course, before we do, if I could get you to hit that like button and subscribe to both Game Over Toronto and Game Over Montreal, go follow the Game Over Network on socials. We're back for another year, which means we're going to keep this thing going. We're going to keep trying to grow. It's a very small network. So if you could take 5 seconds to do those things, it would really help us grow, and we would really appreciate it. All right.
Yep.
I rambled for a long time, so I'll give it to you to go ahead. So, how's Montreal feeling?
Well, Piano Matt says you shouldn't have to apologize for having good goaltending. Think we would ever apologize for having Carey Price? Yeah, goaltending itself is a strategy, right? Like it kills me when people are like, "Oh, but this team won because of goaltending," and I'm like, "Guys, the goaltender is part of the team." So
That's the Rangers thing. Like I like for the past like 5 years when the Rangers would have their runs, they go to the conference finals. I would watch them and be like, what is this voodoo analytical BS that they're playing where they
yeah,
get outshot, outchanced every game and they win? Well, turns out having Igor Shesterkin helped out a lot with that, and you just capitalize on the chances you do get. And now the Leafs have become what I hate, which is a weird feeling. But I can't even hate because they made like I know like people are going to dunk on them. Yeah, they lost in 7 again in the second round. That was the furthest they've gotten in this era. Like the bar is underground for this franchise. So I can't even be mad. Mark has a good chat for us from the Toronto chats. Shout out, Mark. Who is going to be the surprise playoff team? Let's say one for the East and one for the West. Who's your surprise pick? I gotta look at the standings. I gotta remember who is in the NHL.
I'm actually trying to remember who exists in the NHL.
Yeah, who are the 32 teams? Ooh, I kind of like Anaheim in the West. They've been spending their money to lock up their young core. There was a lot of people who discovered who Jackson Lacombe was last week when he got a massive extension.
Yeah.
There's a lot of non-puck knowers out there who are like, who on earth is this? And it's like, you clearly did not watch the Ducks last year because Lacombe was absolutely spectacular. So the Ducks, I love Lucas Dostal. I love Mason McTavish, love Lacombe. I think they have a chance. They might need to add at the deadline to get it over the hump, but for the West, I'd say Anaheim.
That's a hot take. That is a hot take.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of good teams. Like, there's a lot of like I can pretty confidently say Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg will make it in the Central. We can confidently say Edmonton, Vegas, and LA will probably make it in the Pacific. Like, there's a lot of these spots that are kind of spoken for.
You know what? I would be very shocked if they got in, but as the Habs would tell you, the power of goaltending will get you everywhere. So I could see the Flames making it.
Ooh, don't tell the Flames fans that Game Over because they have been clamoring to tank for Gavin McKenna.
I know, which is why it seems like a very Flames thing to do to their fans.
Well, the Flames never bought him out. Like as someone who lives in Calgary and like have been around the Flames for my whole life, the Flames are not capable of bought. They're perpetually mediocre. Sometimes they'll have one kind of good year and then lose in the playoffs. Most of the time they're going to finish 17th, 18th, 19th. They're going to have their 14th overall pick, and Flames fans will just eat it up.
Yeah. Yep. Hate themselves. Yeah, I could see the Flames being that team. For the Eastern Conference, and I don't know if this is a shocker. It's a shocker because I'm a hater. I could see the Red Wings possibly making it. Just because I think it's do or die time. I think it's do or die time for them. I don't.
Okay, so
their fans seem a lot more forgiving than I would be, frankly.
Oh, Stevie Y should have been out of a job years ago. He's been horrible for them. But I like Lucas Raymond and Sider over there. Like they've got some good pieces. Their goaltending is such a question mark every year. But if we're looking at if we look at the Atlantic, we can pretty confidently say Tampa's going to make it. Pretty confidently say Florida's going to make it. We're pretty confident Toronto is going to make it. Montreal, probably a wild card. Montreal or Ottawa are one of those two teams will probably get in, and one of them will probably regress a little bit. I wouldn't be shocked if, honestly, in the East, I would not be shocked if the exact same teams made the playoffs.
I wouldn't be either, to be honest. As you were talking about it, I was
Could
like,
that be
the
my surprise?
Metro. Yeah.
Because there's always like turnover of playoff teams at least a little bit. I think my hot take would be that the East playoff teams are the exact same this year.
Yeah, same order too? Or you think that'll be a little
No,
different? Yeah.
I don't think Toronto's winning the division.
No?
I think Tampa. If Vasilevsky's healthy, I think Tampa might win it. I think Montreal will be better than Ottawa this year.
I mean, amen to
think
that.
Florida, it's kind of tricky because they lost Barkov for the year, but
Yeah.
I saw someone, Piano Matt in the Montreal chat saying, is any team beating Florida this year? In the playoffs, they probably will because no Barkov is such a massive factor. Like,
That's a
I don't know if it'll
loss.
be, I don't know if it's going to be an Atlantic team, but I'm
Mhm.
pretty confident sitting here saying they're not winning the cup again.
It's hard. Barkov is such a big part of that team. Kind of what happens with your first line center. Yeah, shocker. Is it good to lose your first line center? I don't know. These 5 reporters are chiming
Apparently.
in.
Unless you're the COVID Tampa Bay Lightning, probably not.
Man, those fucking fake ass. I'm gonna take a sip of my water.
Hate on Tampa. This is not a hate on Tampa Bay podcast. Although, if I would rather play Florida in the playoffs than Tampa, even though Florida is better and the Leafs do better against Tampa, because Tampa is the most whiny, childlike team. Like the John Cooper is so good at like making you hate him, and the like Kucherov is the biggest piss baby, and
Such a
all those guys
child.
over there.
He's such
They
a
just
child.
whine and complain.
Cooper is a lawyer, and I think you can tell.
Yep.
I think that's what I'll say about them. It's funny because with the Panthers, I'm like, I don't really want guys to get like CTE, so that's a thing. That's what that would be the reason that I would not want to play Florida. But or sorry, yeah, the Panthers, but Tampa, man, I do not like that team. I do not like Kucherov, and oof. I think it was really funny.
See,
I'm not sure if you saw, but when the Avs won the cup, that last game, there was like a clip of Kucherov throwing his gloves at the trainer, and I was like, "You are such a little baby. Do you want your pacifier? Jesus Christ."
yeah, it's weird. Maybe it's because I'm a sicko. Like it's like, oh, the Leafs have beat the Lightning in the playoffs. I don't need to play them again. I don't need to play Ottawa again. I need to play Florida again. I'm so mad that the Leafs weren't the ones to take down. But like that, when the Bruins just got bad, they got old and bad. It was like the whole thing around Toronto Twitter was like, when the dragon you always dreamed of slaying dies of old age.
Yeah, yeah. It's a real shame what's happening with Boston. Like, not a shame because I
No,
don't
it's
want
not.
them. No, but it's a shame in that it sucks that the Habs are on the upswing and the Bruins are on the downswing. Because I think when that is an active rivalry and like a real one, when both teams are like capable of winning, I think it's a very like that's an old school rivalry. Right now, all we have is the Sens who we hate each other. It's so weird to see. I'm not sure if you saw what happened in the preseason, but
I did.
man,
I enjoyed not being in the middle of the drama for once. It's much nicer
yeah,
on this side of the fence.
yeah, man.
We're writing off Boston entirely, huh? I mean, yeah, unless Swayman is back to being a 920 goalie, probably.
Yeah.
They'll be better than they were down the stretch. They were like unwatchable down the stretch. The Bruins were, but they'll be okay. They'll be the Flames of the East.
Who do you think ends up at the bottom of the Atlantic? Sabres?
Buffalo. Yeah. I'm sorry, Buffalo. I really hope they don't for their fans' sake, but like Mark in the chat saying, I hate Buffalo, but I want them to get to the dance because I couldn't imagine how that fan base feels by now. At least they have the Bills.
They got something, man. They got something.
Yeah, Matthew in the chat saying, calling it now Toronto first in division by 5 points. All right. I mean,
Sure.
I respect the conviction. I also wanted to ask Zach if he thinks Robertson sticks on this team this year. I think Robertson he'll be in the lineup. he's not going to be an everyday player, but he'll probably play 50 games again. And then we get to the trade deadline, and the Leafs will probably acquire someone that knocks him out of the lineup. You need to just get through the 82 game season. Robertson can score, and if the only reason he wouldn't stick with the team is if he gets traded, which is possible, but for right now, I'd rather have Robertson in the lineup than Easton Cowan, because Cowan is too young. He needs to develop, and if the choice is Robertson on the third, fourth line or Cowan, I'd take Robertson every day, just because he could score 15 to 20 goals. If he goes on a bender, Robertson could easily score like 20 goals,
Yeah.
but he just needs the playing time.
I was also a little curious about that. I was like, what's happening over there? But my question, what is happening?
So, like with the Cowan thing, or
Yeah, like what's happening there?
so it's very clear after the Cowan had a fine preseason.
Yeah.
And he does look like he could play NHL games, and he probably will at some point. It's very clear Craig Berube is building his lineup on who are my best 12 forwards, which is a totally valid approach. And Brad Treliving is looking back a little bit more and saying, okay, what's the best, like, how do we put these guys in the best position to succeed? So Berube, if he could pick, would want Cowan in the lineup. But Treliving, I think, is going to send him down so that he can go play. Because playing 6 minutes a night with the Leafs is not going to be as good for his development as playing 20 with the Marlies.
Yeah.
And I don't care about how Cowan looks this year. Easton Cowan is not going to be the reason the Leafs succeed or fail this year. So put him in with the Marlies, let him develop for a year, and then next training camp, we can talk about him being a legit third liner instead of barely being a fourth liner.
Yeah, I think that's a conversation that, like, this is a similar conversation, except not, because we were in such different places, that we had with Slav. There was a lot of, is he Laval bound? Like, should he be in Laval, or is he good in Montreal? I think it's a completely different situation because the Habs weren't looking to win. Like that was not something that they needed to worry about. The Leafs are in win now mode. It's really hard to get them to. It's weird too, because you'd think that the coach would be less likely to play the young player. Like that's what usually happens, is that
Berube's so bipolar.
yeah, he'll do whatever.
Like he hates David Kampf so much for no reason. Like, and he loves Easton Cowan. You would think for a coach like Craig Berube, he would love the defensive-minded fourth line center and hate this like skilled kid that thinks he's gonna do all the stuff he did in the juniors. Like, no, he loves Cowan even when he doesn't play well, and Kampf like cannot get in the lineup when the Leafs are healthy.
I just want to answer something that I saw in the chat. Matt asked if Dobesh has a strong outing tomorrow, who starts Saturday. I think it's still Monty. That net is Monty's to lose. I think it's pretty cut and dry. I would frankly just be happy if Marty played Dobesh a regular amount. I don't want Monty to get burnt out. So that's
Monty the starter until a guy like Jacob Fowler develops?
Oh, when Fowler's up, he's the starter. Like, that is not a question. So Fowler should not come up until he is ready to be the starter. I do not want Fowler sitting on the bench as a backup. I think Jakub Dovesh is I keep almost calling him Jacob. No, he's Jakub. Jakub Dovesh is a perfectly good backup goalie in the way that, like, he's also really silly. And I think you need a little bit of whimsy in your backup goalie. You need a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of he thinks his house was haunted at one point. So it's a very funny story. He had a sleep mask and it was leaving streaks all over his pillows, like black streaks. And he was like, I don't know what's happening. It's a ghost. And the guys were like, it's literally your sleep mask, dude. And he was like, oh, it's my sleep mask. Anyways. So he's one of those goalies. So I think it's perfectly fine to have that kind of situation. Jacob Fowler, when he's ready, he will have that net. But I don't want him up until he's ready. I do not want a primo situation again. As you know. As you know.
Yeah, and look, what like Mark talking about he wants Cowan to play to avoid another Robertson situation. I'll just bring up Nick Robertson went straight from juniors to the Leafs. Nick Robertson was 18 years old and played a playoff game for the a sort of playoff game in the bubble when the Leafs lost to Columbus. He was the one in those lineups for 4 of those games. And the Leafs never let him play with the Marlies until it was too late. Then he was injured, then he was up and down. Like, he never got to just settle down and play hockey. So that's why I want Cowan to be with the Marlies for a while. Let him legitimately play, get into a groove in the AHL. And if he's ripping a point a game in the AHL and he's clearly too good for that league, then fine, call him up. That's a different story. But I don't want to end up in a situation where he's like in the lineup sometimes, scratched other times. He needs to play meaningful minutes, and that's how you can develop some of those like defensive abilities and like responsibility to play in a bottom six in the NHL, so that when he gets that opportunity, he isn't just surviving, but he actually is starting to thrive a little bit.
Can I talk about Sidney Crosby for a second? I'm going to talk
Okay,
about Sidney
sure.
Crosby for a second. Uh,
You do that.
so I've always been a very, oh my God, you guys are embarrassing me when people would talk about Sid to the Habs. I am now at this point finally in a place where I am starting to believe the dream, which is how your heart breaks. So personally, this is probably what the universe wants for me to believe.
You're gonna have such a weird heart sort of break, sort of melting back together when he's playing with Nathan MacKinnon come the spring.
That's the thing is this is the listen, this is the situation. He is either going to go to Colorado or he is going to choose a team that is young enough that they are on the upswing. So first of all, the Habs have to play a lot better in the first half of the season if they want any chance at that bell of the ball. Um, and they have I think Sidney Crosby is a Pittsburgh guy. I don't think he'd screw over the Penguins. I think he would
Nope.
want the Pens to get all they can. I don't know if you've taken a look at the Avs prospect cupboard or their draft picks. It's bare. It's very empty. Like it
They
is
emptied the clip last season.
as they should. I think with a team like that, you should. Um, so I think it's gonna be a team that has something to give the Pens, but also is somewhere that I don't think he's gonna go somewhere that's rebuilding. So the Habs have to show real promise. I'm talking about this very logically in there's a universe that Sidney Crosby wants to leave. Um, I think if the Habs can show promise, they do well, there's a possibility that this trade deadline or this summer, Sidney Crosby is a Montreal Canadien. And that I'll stick to that. Listen, I'm starting to believe. I'm starting to buy my own bullshit, right? I think that I wouldn't be mad at Sidney Crosby in Colorado. Don't get me wrong. I'd be thrilled about it. But I think with the kind of person he seems to be for Pittsburgh, for the Penguins, I don't think he'd put them in a position where they can't get anything for him.
And so he has 2 years on his contract, I believe. I don't think he gets traded this year. I think it happens next year.
I wouldn't be
If it's
shocked.
going to happen. I'm more in the camp of he's going to retire a Penguin and he's just going to be like, you know what? I won my cups. I love the city of Pittsburgh. I'm content to just stay here, mentor the next generation.
I don't think it's in his I don't think it's in his blood. And it's funny because you'll show Pens fans, and again, I totally get it. I would be a bitch too if people were having this conversation about like, let's say the Carey Price, near the end of his career, but still capable, very capable of doing it, the thing. I'd also be really mean about it to other fans if they were doing this to me. So I'm not mad at them, but you'll have people saying, oh, Sid wants to stay in Pittsburgh. He keeps saying that he wants to stay in Pittsburgh. No, he hasn't. He can shut this entire conversation down by straight up saying, I am not leaving. I want to retire a Penguin. He skirts around it. He skirts around that all the time. Pat Brisson, honestly, his comments are the ones that really got me believing in the idea of Sidney Crosby leaving the Penguins. That's a man who works for Sidney Crosby, and he's saying that the Pens better be better or ... right? So I bought my own bullshit. I've bought the dream, and I'm gonna keep dreaming.
I think it's more likely that the other veterans like Gino and I think those guys get dealt before Crosby does. Not saying that Crosby won't get dealt, but I don't think I think he would be the last of the aging core there to be traded.
I think it's Malkin's last year on his contract too, so that makes
Yeah,
sense.
he's gone. He's like Malkin is like I would almost like Malkin will be gone almost before the trade deadline. Like I would be stunned if
You
he
think so?
survives
I
the
think
trade
if
deadline
Malkin's
in
gone,
Pittsburgh.
the
Like,
chances of Crosby being gone are also higher.
yeah, that's fair. I think I would put higher odds on Crosby getting traded in the offseason than the trade deadline, though.
Yeah, I'm not.
Unless Montreal gives him a haul, I
Yeah,
think that's an offseason move.
yeah. No, I'm not. I also think you give Sidney Crosby. You give Kirby Doc the year. Not that if you have Sidney Crosby over Doc, you're not taking Sidney Crosby, but you know what I mean. Like you give
I
Doc the
mean,
year before you
if
decide.
Doc hasn't proven himself by the trade deadline, you're going to be trading for a center.
Exactly. Exactly. Man, Chris Letang has 2 more years left in his deal. That's gonna be.
Ugh.
He's 38. He's gonna be 40 by the time that's done. Man, even for a
God help
health
the people of
freak,
Pittsburgh.
that's a lot.
Yeah, that Pittsburgh's gonna be real bad. Shout out to them winning last night though against the Rangers. That
That was
was
very funny.
3-0. I, ugh, I just that team's gonna be real bad, man.
Yep. Yep. Come home, Sydney. Come home.
The thing to remember, this is from Luke Venables in the Toronto chat. The thing to remember is that whenever Sid talks, he isn't thinking about needing to prove anything. He might say something, he might not. Shutting down conversations isn't really the primary goal.
Sure, but if you're really all that annoyed by that conversation, you can shut it down.
I don't think he's annoyed by it. I just think
He
he's like,
sounds pretty
yeah, if
annoyed
it
by it.
happens, it happens.
Or he keeps sounding like it's listen, Sidney Crosby's very good at saying things without saying things. I think in the last few years, for the first time, we've seen him as a person, which shout out Nate McKinnon for making him act like a person in front of the media. Uh,
Which is hilarious because Nate McKinnon, when he's not in front of the media, does not act like a person. That is a cyborg.
and it's very funny. It is a very funny bit that they do between the two of them where God knows what's happening. It's just it's really funny. But yeah, because of that, I think Sidney Crosby is maybe perhaps the most media trained player in the league still to this day, even over McDavid. Because I think when he came into the league, it was a time where he really had to be careful. That was a guy with a target on his back in several different ways. So I think he's very good at choosing his words correctly. Again, I don't feel bad for guys who are talking about being annoyed by something that they could easily shut down. So, not to be mean to Sidney Crosby, but brother,
To be fair, sometimes when you try to shut it down, it only makes the fire grow. Like there was the whole thing with Matthews being like, "All right, guys, you have 2 more questions to ask me about Mitch Marner, and then we're moving on." There's no way that's gonna go away. Like they're gonna keep like sometimes when you try to downplay things, it just makes it worse. And obviously Montreal doesn't. Like is quite a big market. Pittsburgh isn't as big of a market, but like if Montreal the rumors start get going, it's not like you're gonna quiet those down by being like, no, guys, I
no,
promise.
not
Like,
me.
because sure,
There, it was a
we've
really
never been
funny
lied to by
moment.
the media before.
There's a really funny moment where the Habs did a behind the scenes thing for Media Day with like Nick, and they had like a clip for no reason. For no reason. There was no reason to have Sidney Crosby in that clip, but they clipped Sidney Crosby being in that their little media package for Media Day. And he was talking about a French TV show that he used to watch, and it was like we guys, if Pittsburgh comes to Montreal to play games, I don't think they should bring Crosby. I think they should like scratch him because I don't think that's a man who's leaving Pittsburgh. Not by choice. I'm saying that I think the Habs organization might actually kidnap him. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure if they paid Kyle Dubas enough, he would help facilitate that. So, aside from that, oh, we have one more. Okay, last question from the Montreal chat. This from Adam Firebear, non-Habs Leafs question. What are your thoughts on the McDavid contract? I'm gonna let you go first because I am a lot angrier.
oh, you go ahead.
As a Toronto Maple Leafs fan who has watched for the last 8 years as their star players have gouged the team for every last cent, where one day a contract is signed that is a precedent setter, not an 8-year deal, and still makes Austin Matthews the highest paid player in the league. And the next day, another star player's agent is in the media saying, that deal sucks, my guy is going to get his. And then that guy has the loudest contract negotiation all summer. And then we have another Nylander extension that was actually quiet, but still for a lot of money. Then we have another Matthews extension. And then Mitch Marner leaves because it's just too much. And he couldn't get every last penny here. And now Connor McDavid is not getting a single penny more than he's already making. If there was ever a player that could demand to be the highest paid player possible, like 20 million, give me a max contract, it is Connor McDavid. And that guy said, no, I want to win. You guys don't want to win as much as I do. And I am so envious of Oilers fans and the Oilers organization to have not even, like, obviously McDavid is the best player in the league, but to just have a star player. Like, if I was a Wild fan, I'd be so pissed off as well. Like, Kaprizov just gouged you for 17 million, and then McDavid turns around and does that. Like, I'm so mad that Oilers fans get to have a star player that is more committed to winning than any other star player in the entire league. While I have to sit here with these guys that are like, no, I'm going to get as much money as humanly possible. And if you say no to me, I'm going to make a fuss about it. And I hate it.
Kill McCarr, please. Please kill McCarr. Kill McCarr, please. His contract, his extension's coming up. So that's what I'm thinking is kill McCarr. Please look at that. I'm also thinking get Lane Hudson to look at that. We are having, seems like there's I believe I have no trouble believing that that's going to get done. I have no real concerns.
Hey, you want a fun fact?
What?
So, Hudson's agent, you know who his boss is?
Who?
Might be someone that happens to also represent Mitch Marner.
No. So actually, that's the thing is today there was a report that was like, the agency has seemingly taken a decision to divide so essentially it's a lateral move where
I love being on this side of it.
So
Let's do the whole thing. Darren, do your worst. Do everything that you wanted to do for Mitch this summer.
Come on. He's just a little guy.
Everything.
He's just a little guy.
$19 million over.
We're just a little guy. Our team's just a little tiny baby boy. Don't hurt us.
You'll be fine because Kent Hughes is a better GM than Kyle Dubas is and was. So you'll be fine.
I think we'll be fine. I just think that it's very funny, the idea of just showing Lane Hudson. Look. You see that, buddy? Little baby boy. Have you seen that? Yeah.
I really want, and for every time Lane goes to open his mouth, Darren Ferris just storms into the room and goes, yeah, but you see Kaprizov? Give me this or I will move Lane to Switzerland.
Deep breaths. We're okay. It's okay. We're all fine.
Oh, every day I love hearing all the drama because Leafs fans, rightfully so. The Leafs organization has been dunked on for the last half decade with all this contract BS. And I'm happy that more teams have to deal with this now.
Yeah. Let's just say I'm not mad about the team taking their time.
They should.
Yeah. Don't take too much time, but I'm not mad at them not caving.
If it gives you an 8-year deal at a reasonable number, take all the time in the world because the cap's going up. So look, you could sign an 8-year deal. Let's say it's 10.5 million today for an 8-year deal. And let's say Hudson has 60, 70 points again this year. And suddenly that's an $11.5, $12 million deal. Who cares? The cap's going up by so much that as long as you get the term locked in, that's all that matters.
That's really important to me. I think term is the big one.
Yeah, like when the Leafs got this Matthew Nyes deal done for 6 years at 7, I was like, great, 6 years, perfect.
Yeah, I was mad about that one.
Nylander's locked up for 8 years, like, great, lock him up.
Yeah, let's throw him in jail. I would throw them in jail if I could.
Matthew in the Toronto's chat saying his dad already threatened him against the U.S. for Canada.
Rob Hudson, baby.
Oh wait, there's a problematic
Stop.
father in the mix too? You're telling me not only is this
That's really
young
bad.
star player have a really toxic agent working for him, but his father is also meddling in the contract negotiations? What could possibly go wrong with that?
Hi, listen, Lane, let's learn from history, buddy.
Hey, yeah, learn from history. Did you see how the Leafs gave Mitch Marner everything he wanted?
Uh-huh. And he won you a
Yeah,
cup.
do that.
He won you a cup, right?
Totally. That is that hey, whoa. All we care about, this is a new generation where money is king. We all care about money. We don't care about we'll win any. That's the idea, is that you're better than everyone else. You're better than Mitch Marner. You'll win anyways.
Don't put that evil on us, Outrage says. Yeah, don't do it. I fear the evil
Hey,
the evil exists whether we want it or not.
the evil has been building inside of me for 7 years. It has to be pointed somewhere. And if it's pointed at the Leafs too long, I'm too much of a hater already. So I've got to point it outward at some point. And
Yeah.
Boston and Florida can only take up so much of that energy.
We should all hate the Florida Panthers a little bit more, is my hot take.
Yes, we should. No state tax. Shout out to all those teams. Dallas, too, for getting Rantanen locked up for the 8 years, which will make you even happier. Shout out Matthew in the chat. Vegas, here he comes. Yes, future Vegas Golden Knight, Lane Hudson, everyone.
I will neither. Listen, I need to go. I'm zen. We're good. It's fine. Everything's
All
fine.
right. Well, before this gets any further off the rails, we should probably wrap up. So thank you so much to everyone in both the Toronto and Montreal chats for tuning in tonight. It has been an absolute pleasure to spend this evening with you after a Leafs win on opening night. Make sure to hit like and subscribe to both Game Over Toronto and Game Over Montreal, depending on where you're watching from. You can find the Game Over Network on social media at, well, the Game Over Network. You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Zach Payne 41. Kay, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at K_IMW. You'll see it in the description. And you can find me on Twitter at K_IMW. And you can probably find me in Hamilton, Ontario, but don't come here, please. So I also want to shout out Conrad in the chat. Flames and Oilers Game Over will be later. The post game will be on Game Over Calgary, so be sure to check them out.
Yeah, and aside from that, thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you throughout the season after Montreal plays again tomorrow night, so there'll be a Game Over Montreal for that. We've got Game Over Toronto. We'll be back on Saturday after the next Leafs game. Until then, everyone, have a good night. Cheers.